Valhalla and the Afterlife, the honor of the Viking warrior. In the icy lands of the north, where stories are woven from mist and sea, there lies a belief deeper than the towering mountains and the fierce waves. It is the conviction of a journey unending, a life not concluded, but merely transformed, passing through the threshold of death into realms beyond, more glorious. For the warriors of the north, the Vikings, death was not an ending, but a passage, an invitation to magnificent halls where honor was celebrated and the heroic saga never ceased. This is the story of the Viking afterlife, a vibrant tapestry of cosmic belief, where human destiny was woven by threads of fate and choice. It is not merely a whisper of a single paradise for the departed, but a complex symphony of convictions, where ancient gods reigned, beautiful shield maidens soared through the sky, and personal glory was shaped by how one lived, and more importantly, how one died. This belief forged the very character of an era, influencing every facet of life, from their fearless bravery in battle to the deep reverence with which they buried their beloved dead. From the wild lands of Midgard to the sacred realms beyond mortal reach, we shall explore the paths a Viking soul might take after the last breath left the body. There will be halls echoing with laughter and the clinking of mead horns, endless battlefields where glory was rekindled each day, and also mist-shrouded underworlds where souls rested in quiet slumber. Let the north wind whisper ancient mysteries, guiding us through death's door, where the honor of the Viking warrior never truly fades, but forever shines in the eternal kingdoms. Chapter 1, where the mead horn never empties, Valhalla's eternal glory. In the vast, intricate tapestry of Norse cosmology, where the 9 worlds intertwined beneath the branches of Yggdrasil, the world tree, there shimmered a realm of unparalleled glory, a beacon for the souls of the bravest warriors. This was Valhalla, the most celebrated and desired of all afterlives, a name that still whispers through the mists of time, conjuring images of honor, feasting, and eternal martial splendor. It was not a distant, unreachable paradise, but a tangible aspiration, a powerful promise that shaped the very lives and deaths of the Viking warrior. Valhalla, or the Hall of the Slain, was depicted as a magnificent, impossibly vast hall, built of shining gold and polished wood, its roof adorned with golden shields that caught the light like 1,000 suns. Its rafters were spears, its benches draped with chain mail, and its 540 doors, each so wide that 800 warriors could pass through side by side, were portals to an eternal celebration. The air within was thick with the rich aroma of roasted boar and the sweet, heady scent of mead, its golden light filled with the joyous clamor of feasting, laughter, and the resonant clinking of horns raised in endless toasts. It was a place of endless abundance, where hunger and thirst were unknown, and every desire was met with bountiful provision. Presiding over this magnificent realm was Odin, the All-Father, the wise and terrible god of war, poetry, magic, and death. One-eyed and ever-seeking knowledge, Odin's gaze swept across the battlefields of Midgard, surveying the fallen, for it was he who chose half of the slain warriors to reside in his glorious hall. These chosen ones were known as the Einherjar, literally army of one, signifying their individual prowess and unique destiny. Their purpose in Valhalla was not merely to feast, but to prepare for the ultimate cosmic confrontation, Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, when they would fight alongside Odin against the forces of chaos. Every day, these warriors would don their armor, step out onto the vast, phantom plains surrounding Valhalla, and engage in glorious, ceaseless combat, honing their skills, feeling the thrill of battle. And every evening, as the ethereal sun dipped below the horizon, their wounds would miraculously heal, the fallen would be resurrected, and they would return to the great hall, whole and renewed, to feast and drink deep from horns that never emptied. It was the Valkyries, Odin's beautiful and fearsome handmaidens, who served as the celestial messengers, bridging the gap between the mortal world and the divine. riding across the smoking battlefields on their magnificent winged steeds, their armor gleaming like moonlight on snow. They meticulously chose the bravest of the slain, those who had fallen with honor, their swords still clutched in their dying grip. With silent grace, they would lift the chosen warriors from the bloody earth, carrying their souls to Valhalla, where they would join the ranks of the Einherjar, destined for eternal glory. Their presence underscored the divine connection to death in battle, a sacred act in the eyes of the gods. This belief in Valhalla profoundly shaped the Viking warrior ethos. For a Norseman, the ultimate aspiration was not merely to live a long life, but to die a glorious death. To fall bravely in battle, weapon in hand, facing one's foes without fear, was the surest path to Odin's Hall. This was a death of honor, a testament to courage and martial prowess, ensuring one's place among the chosen elite. A lingering illness, a quiet death in bed, or a demise marked by cowardice, offered no such illustrious destiny. This conviction fueled their legendary ferocity in combat, for to die bravely was to win an even greater victory, securing an eternal future of feasting and fighting alongside the gods themselves. Valhalla was not for everyone, nor was it the only afterlife. It was a destination reserved for a select, valiant few, emphasizing its exclusivity and the warrior's ultimate goal. The sounds of battle and merriment echoed constantly within its golden walls, a powerful counterpoint to the fleeting sorrows of the mortal world. For a Viking warrior, the vision of Valhalla provided not just solace in the face of death, but a profound purpose in life, guiding their actions with a relentless pursuit of honor and glory that would resonate far beyond their mortal breath. As the northern lights shimmered across the night sky, their ethereal dance seemed to mirror the joyful combat of the Einherjar, a celestial promise that for the chosen slain, the mead horn in Valhalla would indeed never empty. While Valhalla shone as the most famous and fiercely desired destination for fallen warriors, the tapestry of the Norse afterlife was woven with threads of diverse destinies, offering paths to glory and rest that stretched beyond Odin's golden hall. Among these, Folkvanger, the field of the host, or people's field, held a place of unique significance, presided over by a goddess whose beauty was matched only by her power, Freya. This realm offered a vibrant, distinct alternative for those chosen from the slain, a testament to the multifaceted understanding of honor and heroism in the Viking Age. Freya, a goddess of immense complexity and captivating allure, was revered as much for her beauty, love, and fertility as for her profound connection to war, death, and magic, particularly Seed, a powerful form of Norse sorcery. She was the sister of Frey and a member of the Vanir, an older, perhaps more ancient, lineage of gods associated with wealth, prosperity, and the natural world, subtly distinct from the martial Aesir of Odin. Within Folkvanger lay her own magnificent hall, Sessrumnir, meaning seat room or room of many seats, where she welcomed half of the warriors who fell bravely in battle. Just as Odin chose his Einherjar, Freya, too, rode over the battlefields, her eyes discerning not just valor, but perhaps a certain grace, a deeper connection to the ebb and flow of fate, or an affinity for the mystical currents of existence. The atmosphere of Folkvanger was often depicted as more verdant and serene than the perpetual clang of Valhalla. While still a place for warriors, its glory might manifest in forms beyond endless combat. One could imagine fields bathed in an eternal, gentle light, where the chosen might hone their skills, not just in wielding weapons, but perhaps in understanding the deeper mysteries of magic, in enjoying the beauty of nature, or in the joyous companionship of those who shared a bond of love or loyalty beyond the battlefield. The sounds might include the murmur of flowing streams, the rustle of leaves in an eternal breeze, and the quiet, contented hum of camaraderie, rather than the incessant clang of training and feasting that characterized Odin's Hall. The scent might be of wild flowers, honey, and the clean earth, blending with the faint, invigorating tang of iron and courage. The precise criteria for being chosen by Freya remain a subtle mystery within the sagas, suggesting a more nuanced selection process. While dying bravely in battle was undoubtedly paramount, perhaps those who had a particular devotion to Freya, those who excelled in love and poetry as well as war, or those who possessed an innate understanding of fate and magic, might find their way to Folkvanger. It expanded the concept of heroism, suggesting that honor was not solely confined to brute strength and martial prowess, but could also encompass beauty, wisdom, and a connection to the deeper, unseen forces of the world. The existence of two such prestigious warrior afterlives, overseen by two powerful deities, highlighted the rich complexity of Norse beliefs about destiny and glory. This shared destiny for the fallen warriors, half to Odin, half to Freya, painted a complete picture of the afterlife's embrace. It suggested a divine partnership in the ultimate fate of the brave, an acknowledgement that the energies of warfare and life were intricately linked, and that even death offered multiple paths to an honorable continuation. For a Viking warrior, knowing that two such esteemed deities vied for their valiant soul surely added another layer of motivation for bravery on the battlefield. It reinforced the idea that their efforts in life held profound cosmic significance, reverberating far beyond the fleeting moment of their last breath. Freya's deep connection to seed or magic further enriched the allure of Folkvanger for certain individuals. Those who practiced or had an affinity for these mystical arts might envision an afterlife where their arcane knowledge would deepen, where they could continue to explore the hidden currents of destiny and weave the very fabric of fate. It offered a spiritual continuation that went beyond physical combat, touching upon the intellectual and spiritual dimensions of Norse thought. The whispered secrets of magic, so prevalent in Norse lore, found a potential eternal home in the verdant fields and the many-seated hall of Freya. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of gentle twilight, the Viking heart could rest in the knowledge that glory awaited them in more than one form. Whether in the clanging halls of Odin, preparing for Ragnarok, or in the serene, verdant fields of Freya, honoring a different aspect of valor and wisdom, the path for the valiantly slain was clear. Beyond Odin's hall, the whispers of Freya's chosen drifted on the breeze, promising eternal companionship and a profound continuation of life's most honored virtues, a comforting thought that wove itself into the dreams of the sleeping warrior. While the vibrant halls of Valhalla and the verdant fields of Folkvanger beckoned to the valiant slain, promising eternal glory and companionship, the vast tapestry of the Norse afterlife also contained a realm that served as a profound counterpoint: Helheim. This was the realm of the ordinary dead, the destination for the vast majority of souls who did not meet a glorious end on the battlefield, or whose fate did not align with Odin's or Freya's specific choices. It was not, in the modern sense, a place of torment or fiery damnation, but rather a cold, stark, and often desolate land of quiet waiting, utterly devoid of the honor and vibrant energy that defined the warrior's paradise. For a Viking warrior, to be destined for Helheim was to be denied the ultimate glory, a fate to be fiercely avoided. Helheim lay deep beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, hidden far from the sun's warm embrace, a shadowy realm blanketed in mists and perpetual gloom. It was ruled by Hel, a grim and imposing goddess, daughter of the trickster god Loki and the giantess Angerboa. Her appearance was striking and unsettling. One side of her body was said to be beautiful and living, while the other was pale and decaying, a stark embodiment of death itself. From her throne, she held dominion over all who entered her realm, her gaze unyielding and her decisions final. Unlike the active, purposeful existence of the Einherjar, life in Helheim was a somber, listless shadow of one's mortal days, marked by a quiet stillness rather than celebratory clamor. The journey to Helheim was depicted as a long, dark, and often perilous path. Souls had to traverse chilling, mist-shrouded roads, often leading downward, passing through desolate landscapes. They might have to cross the roaring River Joel, bridged by the golden bridge guarded by the giantess Mgr, or passed through the foreboding gate of hell, protected by the monstrous dog Garmer. These were not paths of joyous passage, but of solemn transition, emphasizing the finality and separation of this realm from the vibrant world of the living and the glorious abodes of the gods. Upon arrival, the existence within Helheim was one of quiet, perpetual dormancy. There were no grand feasts of endless mead, no exhilarating battles to hone one's skills, no joyful camaraderie of reborn warriors. Instead, souls in Helheim were often depicted as lingering, existing in a state of suspended animation akin to a quiet, cold sleep. They might reflect on their mortal lives, but without the vibrant purpose that animated those in Valhalla or Folkvanger. The air was often described as frigid, the landscape barren, and the silence profound, broken only by the occasional mournful whisper of the wind or the distant, creaking sounds of the underworld. It was simply a holding place for the vast majority, without either the glory of the chosen few or the fiery torment associated with later Christian hell concepts. This stark reality gave rise to the concept of a straw death, a derogatory term for dying in bed from old age, illness, or accident. For a Viking warrior, whose life was often defined by martial prowess and the pursuit of honor, such a death was deeply undesirable. It meant not being chosen by Odin or Freya, not joining the ranks of the glorious slain, and instead being relegated to the cold, unadorned stillness of Helheim. The fear of a straw death was a powerful motivator, pushing warriors to seek glory in battle, to face their foes without flinching, to ensure their end was a testament to their courage, thus earning their rightful place in a more esteemed afterlife. The profound contrast between Helheim and the realms of Valhalla and Folkvanger underscored the core values of Viking society. It was a belief system that celebrated active, heroic living, and perhaps more importantly, heroic dying. The desire to avoid the quiet, unremarkable fate of Helheim fueled their ferocity in combat, their willingness to take risks, and their relentless pursuit of renown. It shaped their funerary practices, emphasizing proper burials that honored the dead and ensured their peaceful passage, sometimes even with grave goods that would serve them in the afterlife, no matter which realm awaited them. As the sun cast its final, fading light over the northern lands, and the wind whispered tales of heroes, the looming shadow of Helheim served as a constant reminder of the Viking warrior's ultimate choice. To live and die with such honor that their soul would soar beyond the cold embrace of the ordinary, towards a destiny woven with glory, laughter, and the eternal clash of steel, forever avoiding the shadowy halls beneath the roots of Yggdrasil. The silence of Helheim was not merely an absence of sound, but an absence of vibrant purpose, a fate that the valiant would fight to escape even before their final breath. In the vibrant tapestry of Viking society, where the clang of steel and the murmur of sagas filled the air, a single thread held immense, undeniable power, guiding every action, shaping every aspiration: honor. Far more profound than mere reputation, honor, often expressed as dyr or half, was the very essence of a person's worth, their standing in the community, their integrity, and, crucially, the enduring legacy they would leave behind. It was the currency of the soul, determining not just one's place in life, but one's ultimate destiny in the realms beyond, forging a direct, unbreakable link between mortal deeds and eternal fate. Honor in Viking society was not solely confined to the brutal theater of battle. It permeated every aspect of daily life, shaping the interactions between individuals and clans. To keep one's word, to uphold oaths, to offer generous hospitality to guests, to be wise in counsel, and to protect one's family and clan with unwavering loyalty. These were all acts that contributed to one's accumulated honor. A skilled craftsman, a wise lawmaker, a prosperous farmer who provided for his kin, all could gain honor through their contributions to the community. Yet, for the warrior class, for those who lived by the sword and the axe, the most potent and direct path to everlasting renown lay in the crucible of combat. The battlefield was the ultimate proving ground for a warrior's honor. To fight bravely, to face overwhelming odds without flinching, to stand resolute against the tide of foes, and, most gloriously, to die weapon in hand, facing one's enemies. This was the pinnacle of honor. Such a death was not a defeat, but a triumph, ensuring the warrior's soul a place among the chosen elite in Valhalla, Chapter 1, or Folkvanger, Chapter 2. The belief was simple yet powerful. How one died determined one's afterlife. A good death in battle, fierce and unyielding, was the only true passport to the halls of glory, where feasting and eternal combat awaited. Conversely, the opposite of honor was shame, need, a concept that was utterly abhorrent and devastating to a Viking. To be branded a coward, to break an oath, to betray one's kin, or to suffer a humiliating defeat without resistance, was to incur a deep and lasting shame that could ripple through generations. A man burdened by need might find himself ostracized from his community, his reputation tarnished beyond repair. For a warrior, a straw death, dying quietly in bed from old age or illness without having met a glorious end, was not just an undesirable fate, but a source of deep shame, consigning the soul to the bleak, unadorned stillness of Helheim, Chapter 3, forever deprived of the heroic company of Odin's or Freya's chosen. The fear of such dishonor drove warriors to audacious acts of bravery, pushing them to fight to the last man rather than surrender or flee. The memory of one's deeds, and thus one's honor, was meticulously preserved and celebrated by the skalds, the revered court poets. These masters of verse, with their intricate kennings and powerful imagery, crafted sagas and poems that immortalized heroic acts and condemned shameful ones. To be remembered in a saga, to have one's bravery recounted around the hearth in a longhouse, was a form of eternal life, a continuation of one's honor beyond the grave. The echoes of their verses ensured that the renown of the valiant would never truly die, but would inspire future generations, shaping their own pursuit of honor. The sounds of their recitations were not mere entertainment, but living history, forging the very cultural fabric of Viking society. This profound emphasis on honor directly impacted the ferocity and fearlessness of Viking warriors in combat. Facing death with courage was not just a means to victory, but a spiritual imperative, a direct path to an esteemed afterlife. They fought with a reckless abandon, a joyous defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, knowing that a glorious death was a higher prize than mere survival. Their charge was often irresistible, their shield walls unyielding, propelled by a collective determination to avoid shame and secure their place among the heroes of legend and the chosen of the gods. Even within the broader concept of orlog, fate, or destiny, a pervasive belief in Norse thought, honor played a crucial role. While one's ultimate fate might be predetermined, the choice of how one met that fate, with honor or with shame, was profoundly significant. A warrior could not escape his destiny, but he could choose to face it bravely, earning glory in death, thus ensuring a revered afterlife. This belief imbued their lives with a powerful sense of purpose, guiding them towards paths of courage and integrity, knowing that every act, every decision, weighed upon the scales of their eternal renown. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, dark shadows over the northern lands, the Viking warrior carried the immense weight of renown not as a burden, but as a guiding star. His life was a canvas upon which deeds of honor were painted, and his death, if met bravely, was the final, triumphant stroke, forging his path to an eternity of glory in the halls of the gods, his name echoing in the sagas for all time. The concept of honor, more than any weapon or ship, was the true forge of the Viking spirit, shaping their destiny far beyond the shield's edge. In Viking society, the passage from life to death was not merely an ending, but a profound transition, a solemn journey to the realms beyond. The beliefs surrounding the afterlife, particularly the fervent aspiration for glory in Valhalla or Folkvanger, profoundly influenced every aspect of their funerary rituals and burial practices. These were not simply acts of mourning, but meticulously performed ceremonies designed to honor the deceased, affirm their status in life, and, crucially, to ensure a proper and dignified passage to their eternal destiny, equipping them for whatever lay beyond the veil of mortality. The whispers of grief mingled with the quiet solemnity of preparations for the last great voyage. Among the varied forms of Viking burials, the ship burial stands as the most iconic and evocative, a powerful testament to their seafaring culture and their beliefs about the afterlife. Reserved for chieftains, kings, wealthy individuals, and those of high status, these magnificent rituals involved placing the deceased, often accompanied by a wealth of grave goods, within their longship itself. The ship, typically hauled ashore, would then be either set ablaze as a funeral pyre, sending the vessel and its contents skyward in a blaze of glory, or buried beneath a massive earthen mound, transforming the ship into a permanent vessel for the journey to the afterlife. The sheer scale and opulence of ship burials, such as the famous Oseberg or Gokstad ship finds in Norway, speak volumes of the immense reverence and effort dedicated to ensuring a dignified passage for their most honored dead. The creak of timber, the crackle of flames, and the solemn murmur of prayers accompanied these grand farewells. While less grand than a ship burial, mound burials were also common and significant, varying in size and complexity depending on the deceased's status. An individual might be placed in a wooden chamber or a simple pit, surrounded by their grave goods, and then covered by a cairn of stones or a meticulously constructed earthen mound. These mounds dotted the landscape across Scandinavia and the Viking diaspora, becoming enduring markers of ancestral presence, silent sentinels that honored the memory of those who lay beneath. Their shapes, often rounded and organic, blended with the natural contours of the land, as if the earth itself embraced the honored dead. For the common folk, while elaborate ship burials were beyond reach, even simpler inhumation or cremation burials would often include modest grave goods, ensuring the deceased was not left empty-handed in the journey to the next realm. The inclusion of grave goods was a fundamental aspect of Viking funerary rites, directly reflecting their practical and spiritual beliefs about the afterlife. These were not merely symbolic offerings, but possessions intended to serve the deceased in their new existence, mirroring their status and daily life. A warrior would be buried with his weapons, swords, axes, shields, ensuring he was prepared for the eternal battles of Valhalla or the necessities of any other realm. Farmers might be accompanied by their tools, artisans by their craft implements, and women by their jewelry, spinning equipment, and domestic items, all reflecting their roles in life. Food and drink, sometimes even animals like horses, dogs, or falcons, were included, providing sustenance and companionship for the arduous journey or for use in the afterlife's daily existence. The glint of silver ornaments, the quiet dignity of a well-crafted axe, resting beside the departed, spoke volumes of a belief in a continuation beyond the grave. The very act of burial was imbued with deep symbolism, embodying the idea of the afterlife as a profound journey. A ship burial, quite literally, provided the vessel for this transition, a final voyage across cosmic seas. Whether cremated and the ashes scattered or interred in the earth, the rituals sought to guide the soul, to ensure its safe passage, and to sever the ties between the living and the dead in a respectful manner. Feasts were often held to commemorate the deceased, reinforcing communal bonds and celebrating the life of the departed, sometimes lasting for days, filled with solemn toasts and shared memories. While rare, for the very highest status individuals, limited evidence suggests the possibility of human sacrifice, particularly female attendants, accompanying a chieftain to his grave, a chilling testament to the extreme measures taken to honor a powerful leader and ensure his comfort in the afterlife. The lasting presence of burial mounds across the Scandinavian landscape served as a tangible link to the ancestors, a physical manifestation of an enduring honor. They were places of reverence, of quiet contemplation, where the living could feel connected to their lineage and the powerful spirits of their forebears. The sun, casting long shadows over these ancient resting places, seemed to whisper tales of glorious lives lived and honored deaths achieved, reminding all of the profound significance of how one lived and how one departed. The rituals of the last voyage were not acts of despair, but of profound belief, ensuring that for the departed soul, the journey to the realms beyond was met with respect, honor, and the enduring promise of eternal existence. As the funeral pyres cooled and the burial mounds settled over the honored dead, the Viking imagination turned to the invisible bridge between Midgard, the world of mortals, and the divine realms above. It was a bridge constantly traversed by unseen forces, guiding the souls of the valiant to their destined glory. Among these ethereal beings, none were more captivating and awe-inspiring than the Valkyries, Odin's majestic handmaidens, and none were more omnipresent than the piercing gaze of the All-Father himself, channeled through the sharp eyes of his two faithful ravens. This celestial presence over the battlefield profoundly shaped the very choices warriors made in their final, thunderous moments. The Valkyries, whose name means choosers of the slain, were figures of formidable beauty and fierce power, embodying the divine connection between glorious death and eternal reward. Clad in gleaming armor that was said to flash like lightning or shimmer like the northern lights, they rode across the battlefields on their magnificent winged steeds, often depicted as shining swans or horses that galloped through the air. Their presence was both terrifying and beckoning. A warrior knew that if their fate was to fall on that day, it would be the Valkyries who would descend from the blood-red sky, their discerning eyes surveying the carnage, selecting the bravest of the fallen. They were not merely collectors of souls, but active participants in shaping destiny, ensuring that only those who met their end with true honor and courage would be granted passage to Odin's hall, Valhalla, or to Freya's verdant fields, Folkvanger. The sounds of battle, the clash of steel, and the shouts of warriors were, to them, a grim symphony from which they drew their chosen. Their selection process was a profound mystery, known only to the gods. It was not simply about dying, but about how one died. A warrior who showed cowardice, who fled from a direct challenge, or who succumbed to a straw death, as explored in Chapter 3, would be invisible to their discerning eyes, or worse, deemed unworthy of their celestial embrace. The Valkyries sought the true embodiment of valor, the unwavering shield, the defiant roar, the sword still gripped tightly in a dying hand, the face set in grim determination against overwhelming odds. To be chosen by a Valkyrie was the ultimate affirmation of one's honor, a visible sign of divine favor, ensuring a future of feasting and eternal glory among the Einherjar. Complementing the Valkyries in their divine surveillance were Odin's two faithful ravens, Hugin, Thought, and Munin, Memory. Every dawn, these sleek, intelligent birds would depart from Odin's shoulders in Asgard, soaring across the vast expanse of Midgard, diligently observing every corner of the mortal world. They would witness the bustling markets, the quiet farms, the solemn ceremonies, and, crucially, the thunderous fury of battlefields. By evening, they would return, landing gently back on Odin's shoulders, whispering into his ears all that they had seen and heard. Through Hugin and Munin, Odin possessed an unparalleled understanding of human affairs, including the courage, cowardice, and final moments of warriors. Their constant vigilance meant that no heroic deed went unnoticed, no act of valor unrecorded by the Allfather. This pervasive belief in divine observation, in the watchful eyes of Valkyries and the reporting of ravens, held a powerful psychological sway over Viking warriors. Knowing that their final moments were being scrutinized by the gods themselves would undoubtedly inspire immense bravery and a reckless disregard for personal safety in battle. The fear of dishonor, need, and the desperate desire for a glorious afterlife, as explored in Chapter 4, became immediate, tangible forces on the battlefield. A warrior would fight to the last breath, not only for his comrades and his chieftain, but for the unseen celestial observers, ensuring his passage to the halls of glory. The very act of battle became a performance for the gods, a final, fervent prayer for eternal renown. The presence of the Valkyries and Odin's ravens underscored the profound cosmic connection that defined the Viking worldview. The fate of mortals was intricately interwoven with the will of the gods, and the journey to the afterlife was a divinely guided process. It lent a sacred, almost predestined quality to death in battle, elevating it from a mere end to a chosen path, a direct invitation to immortality among the divine. The rustle of wings over a chaotic skirmish, the silent, discerning gaze of the Valkyrie, and the all-seeing eyes of Odin's ravens, all conspired to transform a warrior's final breath into the first step towards an eternal destiny woven with honor and glory. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of blood and gold, the Viking warrior, whether living or fallen, knew that the heavens watched. And in that profound awareness, they found not fear, but a deeper resolve, an unwavering commitment to live and die with such unwavering honor that their soul would be deemed worthy of the Valkyrie's choice and the Allfather's discerning eye. The wind carried the whispers of destiny across the lands, a constant reminder of the unseen connections between worlds and the lasting glory promised to those who fell with honor. The grand narratives of Valhalla, Folkvanger, and the cold stillness of Helheim, while central to the Viking understanding of the afterlife, were but the most prominent threads in a far richer and more intricate tapestry of cosmic destiny. For the Norse people, the world beyond death was not a simple dichotomy of good and bad, but a complex mosaic of realms, each tailored to different types of lives, deaths, and deeds. These lesser-known paths to the departed soul added nuance and depth to their worldview, ensuring that every life, no matter how humble or how extraordinary, found its proper, eternal resting place, stretching from golden peaks to shadowed shores. One such realm, often spoken of with reverence and quiet hope, was Gimel. This beautiful hall or haven was depicted as a place of ultimate bliss and righteousness, its roof of gold, more radiant than the sun, resting upon polished pillars. Unlike the active, combat-focused existence in Valhalla, Gimel was a place of serene peace and joy, where the truly righteous and virtuous would dwell in eternal happiness. Crucially, Gimel was prophesied to survive even the cataclysmic events of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, emerging as a sanctuary for the new world that would follow. It offered a vision of an ultimate, enduring paradise, a beacon of hope for a future beyond the cyclical destruction and rebirth of the cosmos, providing a profound spiritual comfort for those who lived a life of unwavering integrity and goodness. In stark contrast to Gimel's radiant peace, and even more chilling than the bleak quietude of Helheim, lay Nastrand, the corpse shore. This was a specific, gruesome hall of punishment, reserved for the most grievous moral offenders, oath breakers, murderers, and adulterers. Break time equals 0. 25s / Nastrand was described as a vast, venomous hall, woven from the spines of serpents, whose heads endlessly dripped poison, filling the hall's rivers and shores. Here, the wicked would wade through rivers of venom, enduring a state of perpetual torment, their heinous deeds in life receiving a direct, agonizing consequence in death. Its existence underscored a crucial moral dimension to the Norse afterlife, demonstrating that while death in battle granted honor, certain acts in life were unforgivable, leading to a fate far worse than mere quiet oblivion. For a people so intimately connected to the sea, the question of what happened to those who perished in its vast, often unforgiving embrace was naturally explored. Sailors, fishermen, and those lost to the waves were often believed to find their afterlife in the majestic, yet chilling, Hall of the Sea Gods, Aegir and Ran. Beneath the churning surface of the ocean, in a cavernous hall filled with the murmur of the tides, Ran, the goddess of the sea who caught drowned men in her net, was said to welcome the drowned. Here, they would share in the feasts of the sea gods, enjoying an afterlife tied to the vast, mysterious depths that had claimed them. It offered a distinct, watery solace for those whose fate was to be embraced by the waves, a respectful acknowledgement of their lives lived upon the sea. Beyond these distinct realms, there existed a more ethereal concept, the idea that some departed spirits might remain intimately connected to the mortal world, dwelling near their burial mounds or ancestral lands. These were the mound dwellers, ancestral spirits who might, at times, offer protection and guidance to their living kin, or conversely, cause mischief if their resting place was disturbed. This belief fostered a deep reverence for ancestral sites and burial grounds, seeing them not merely as final resting places, but as living links to the past, where the wisdom and influence of the forebears could still be felt. The quiet rustle of leaves around an ancient mound, or the subtle shift in the wind, might be interpreted as the whisper of an ancestral presence, watching over their descendants. This rich spectrum of afterlives, stretching from the golden peaks of Gimel to the shadowed shores of Nastrand, and encompassing the watery embrace of Agur's Hall and the quiet vigil of mound-dwelling spirits, offered a comprehensive system of cosmic justice and destiny. It reflected the varied lives and deaths of the Norse people, providing a nuanced understanding of their ultimate fates. It reinforced that while a glorious death in battle was the pinnacle of a warrior's aspiration, honor and morality in life also played a crucial role in shaping one's journey beyond the veil. The universe was vast, full of mystery, and death was but another turning of its endless, intricate wheel. As the moon cast its pale, ethereal light over the sleeping lands, illuminating ancient burial mounds and hinting at the vast, unseen cosmic pathways, the Norse people found comfort in the knowledge that every soul had a place, every life a unique path to eternity. The many roads of the departed stretched out, offering destinations for all, from the golden peaks of glory to the shadowed shores of quiet repose, a profound tapestry of belief that wove itself into the very fabric of their lives and dreams. The myriad paths to the afterlife, from the golden halls of Valhalla to the shadowed shores of Helheim, did not exist in isolation within the Norse imagination. Instead, they were intricately woven into a grand, complex cosmological framework, a vibrant tapestry of interconnected realms and ancient forces that gave profound meaning to life, death, and destiny. At the very heart of this vast universe stood Yggdrasil, the colossal world tree, its mighty branches reaching into the heavens, its deep roots delving into the primordial abyss, binding all existence together, a silent, living axis around which all fate unfolded. Understanding this cosmic design is key to grasping the full weight of a Viking warrior's beliefs about their soul's eternal journey. Yggdrasil, often described as an immense ash tree, was more than just a tree. It was the sacred, central pillar of the cosmos, the conduit through which life energy flowed and where the very fabric of reality was maintained. Its roots touched deep springs, including the Well of Ur, where the Norns wove fate, and the Spring of Mimir, source of wisdom. Its branches sheltered all of existence, holding aloft the 9 worlds, each a distinct realm with its own inhabitants and characteristics. Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods, nestled high among its boughs. Midgard, the world of humanity, lay sheltered beneath its middle branches, and Helheim, the realm of the ordinary dead, existed deep among its roots, cold and silent. These were not abstract concepts, but tangible places within a coherent, living universe, connected by the powerful energy of the world tree. Within this vast cosmic structure, the concept of fate, often referred to as Wird or Orlog, held immense significance. This inescapable destiny was not merely a predetermined outcome, but a complex, interwoven web of past actions, present choices, and future events. At the Well of Ur, nestled beneath one of Yggdrasil's great roots, dwelled the 3 Norns. Ur, that which has come to pass; Verandi, that which is happening; and Skuld, that which shall be. These ancient, powerful maidens sat perpetually weaving the threads of fate for all beings, gods and mortals alike, determining the lifespan and destiny of every creature, every battle, every kingdom. Their quiet, rhythmic work was the very pulse of the cosmos, shaping the course of all existence. For a Viking warrior, this belief in inescapable fate was not a source of despair, but often a catalyst for courage. While the Norns wove the ultimate destiny, the warrior retained agency in how they met that fate. If death was predetermined, then how one chose to face it, with unwavering honor and bravery, weapon in hand, or with cowardice and shame, profoundly influenced their journey to the afterlife. A brave death in battle ensured passage to the glorious halls of Valhalla or Folkvanger, a destiny of feasting and eternal combat, or honorable companionship, respectively. A straw death, Chapter 3, or a death marked by shame, Chapter 4, consigned one to the bleak, unglamorous existence of Helheim. Thus, while the Norns determined the tapestry of life, the warrior added their own vibrant thread of courage or a dull thread of ignominy. This grand cosmic design culminated in the ultimate, inescapable destiny of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. Break time equals 0. 25s / This was the prophesied end of the current world order, a cataclysmic battle between the Aesir gods and the forces of chaos and destruction, involving the death of many gods and giants, the swallowing of the sun, and the submersion of the world in the sea. Stopwatch 0.25s. It was for this ultimate conflict that Odin gathered his Einherjar in Valhalla, training them daily, feasting them nightly, so they would be ready to fight alongside him when the final horn sounded. The warrior's sacrifice in battle, his journey to Valhalla, thus gained a profound, cosmic significance, contributing directly to the ultimate fate of the universe. Even in death, their purpose was tied to the very destiny of the gods. The deep interconnectedness of these beliefs, Yggdrasil binding all realms, the Norns weaving fate, the specific afterlives for the departed, and the grand, inevitable conclusion of Ragnarok, formed a coherent, immersive worldview that deeply shaped the Viking mindset. It provided a spiritual framework for their aggressive raids, their pursuit of honor, and their acceptance of death. Life was a stage upon which one's destiny unfolded, observed by gods and woven by ancient powers, and the afterlife was a continuation of that grand narrative, where actions held eternal consequence. The whisper of the wind through Yggdrasil's branches carried the echoes of ancient truths, reminding the warrior that their individual saga was but a thread in a much larger cosmic weave. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, ethereal shadows across the northern lands, the Viking warrior gazed up at the night sky, understanding that their world was not merely the earth beneath their feet, but a vast, interconnected cosmos of gods, giants, and destiny. Beneath the branches of Yggdrasil, every life, every choice, and every valiant death contributed to a grand design, shaping the warrior's soul and determining their eternal journey through the many worlds. The intricate web of Norse cosmology, with its shimmering realms and weaving Norns, was not merely a collection of distant myths for the Viking people. It was a living, breathing framework that profoundly shaped their every action, their deepest fears, and their highest aspirations. The beliefs about Valhalla, Helheim, and the many roads of the departed were not abstract concepts debated in silent halls, but vital, unseen compasses, guiding their lives far beyond the immediate concerns of hearth and hammer, trade and raid. This pervasive influence meant that their spiritual convictions were woven into the very fabric of their daily world, lending cosmic significance to even the most mundane of deeds. The promise of Valhalla and Folkvanger, coupled with the chilling prospect of Helheim's unglamorous stillness or Nastran's torment, directly translated into the Vikings' legendary fearlessness in battle. For a warrior, facing a foe with unwavering courage was not simply a tactic for victory, but a spiritual imperative, a direct appeal to Odin and Freya for a glorious afterlife. They entered the fray with a joyful defiance, a reckless abandon that often unnerved their enemies, knowing that a glorious death with weapon in hand was the highest prize. The shame of cowardice, ni, was a fate far worse than any mortal wound, for it condemned the soul to an eternity devoid of honor, a silent, unseen punishment more terrifying than any earthly suffering. This belief transformed battle into a sacred arena, where destiny was not just met, but actively shaped by one's brave choices. Beyond the battlefield, the pursuit of honor, as discussed in Chapter 4, infused daily interactions. Hospitality was not merely a courtesy, but a sacred duty, protecting one's honor and ensuring good standing with both gods and men. To offer warmth, food, and shelter to a traveler was to accumulate renown, while to refuse it was to invite shame. Generosity, particularly among chieftains and wealthy individuals, was highly prized, fostering loyalty and respect within the community. Every act of kindness, every shared meal around the longhouse hearth, implicitly contributed to the subtle scales of honor that would weigh upon one's soul, subtly nudging them towards a more favorable resting place, or at least ensuring a revered memory among their ancestors. The sanctity of oaths and the unyielding importance of loyalty to kin, chieftain, and comrades were paramount. A broken oath was a grave transgression, directly linked to the torments of Nastrand, Chapter 7, a chilling reminder that spiritual consequence awaited moral failings. This belief fostered a fierce sense of community and mutual responsibility, where one's word was their bond, and betrayal was an unthinkable act that threatened not just social order, but cosmic balance. The quiet solemnity with which oaths were sworn, often upon a sacred ring or a weapon, spoke volumes of the profound spiritual weight attached to such promises, binding individuals not just to each other, but to the very fabric of their destiny. The Norse acceptance of fate, Orlog or Wird, Chapter 8, permeated their approach to life's uncertainties. While they believed in a predetermined destiny woven by the Norns, this did not breed passivity. Instead, it cultivated a stoic acceptance of inevitable events, allowing them to face hardship, loss, and death with a remarkable calm. Within that fate, however, lay the crucial agency of how one met it. To confront adversity head-on, to perform heroic deeds even in the face of inevitable defeat, was to shape one's personal saga, to add a glorious thread to the cosmic tapestry. This worldview, rather than diminishing human will, elevated it, giving each choice, each act of bravery, profound significance in the grand design of the universe. The reverence for ancestors and the belief in mound-dwelling spirits, Chapter 7, fostered a deep connection to lineage and the land itself. Burial mounds were not just graves, but sacred sites, places where the living could commune with the wisdom and protection of their forebears. Offering respect to the deceased, ensuring their proper burial with fitting grave goods, was an ongoing duty, maintaining the harmony between the living and the dead. The rustle of leaves around an ancient mound, the scent of damp earth, or the quiet shift in the wind might be interpreted as the subtle presence of a watchful ancestor, reminding them of their heritage and their duties. Skaldic poetry and sagas, Chapter 4:11, served as living moral guides, transmitting these core values across generations. The tales of heroes, their triumphs, and their failings provided a code of conduct for honor, bravery, and proper living. To hear a saga recounted around the flickering hearth was to internalize the lessons of courage, integrity, and the pursuit of renown, shaping the aspirations of young and old alike. This intricate web of belief, from the grand cosmology of Yggdrasil to the smallest daily interactions, meant that the Viking worldview was profoundly holistic, connecting the human realm to the divine, imbuing every aspect of existence with cosmic significance. As the moon cast its gentle light over longhouses and fields, and the stars shimmered in the vast expanse above, the Viking people lived their lives guided by an unseen compass. Their choices, their battles, their very breaths, were shaped by the profound conviction that the world was but one realm in a tapestry of many, and that honor, above all, was the true currency of the soul, determining its path to eternity. Beyond the hearth and hammer, Beyond the immediate concerns of daily survival, their belief shaped a daily world, infusing it with meaning, purpose, and the everlasting pursuit of a glorious destiny. In the heart of every longhouse, around the flickering warmth of the central hearth, the air often vibrated not just with the murmurs of daily life, but with the rich, resonant voices of storytellers. For the Viking people, skaldic poetry and sagas were far more than mere entertainment. They were living vessels of knowledge, cultural touchstones that transmitted values, recounted history, and, most profoundly, shaped their understanding of destiny and the intricate paths to the afterlife. These narratives, meticulously crafted and passionately recited, served as gatekeepers of the departed's glory, ensuring that the deeds of the valiant echoed through the generations, their renown woven into the very fabric of memory and aspiration. The skalds, the revered court poets, held a unique and powerful position in Viking society. Unlike the less formal storytellers, skalds were masters of complex meter, intricate alliteration, and obscure kennings, poetic circumlocutions, crafting verses that were both challenging and profoundly beautiful. Their artistry was a form of magic, for through their words, they could bestow immortality. To have one's heroic deeds immortalized in a skaldic poem, recited in a chieftain's hall, was a warrior's highest non-martial ambition. This was a form of eternal renown, DYR, ensuring that even if a warrior did not make it to Valhalla, their honor would live on in the collective memory, their names spoken with reverence for centuries. The skald literally helped to weave a warrior's destiny, translating their bravery into an enduring legacy that transcended mortal life. The sagas, sprawling narratives of families, feuds, and great voyages, served a similar, yet broader, purpose. They were often orally transmitted for generations before being written down in the post-Viking age, most famously in Iceland, giving us the poetic Edda and prose Edda, invaluable sources for our understanding today. These tales recounted the lives and deaths of heroes, highlighting virtues such as bravery, loyalty, cunning, and hospitality, as discussed in Chapter 9. Crucially, they vividly depicted the ultimate fates of their characters, subtly reinforcing the belief system of the afterlife. A hero who died valiantly in battle would be described as going to Valhalla, their glorious end often recounted with vivid detail, reinforcing the desirability of such a fate. Conversely, a character who broke an oath or acted with cowardice might meet a dishonorable end, implicitly destined for Helheim or Nastrand, serving as a cautionary tale. From childhood, young Vikings absorbed these narratives, learning not just history, but a living code of conduct. They learned what kind of life led to what kind of death, and what kind of death led to what kind of afterlife. The stories instilled the values of honor and courage, shaping their aspirations and preparing them mentally for the harsh realities of their world, where a glorious death was the ultimate aim. The poetic verses, often sung or chanted, imbued these beliefs with rhythm and emotion, imprinting them deeply onto the listeners' minds. The echoes of the skald's voice, weaving tales of gods and heroes, became an integral part of their spiritual landscape, guiding their perception of life's purpose and its inevitable conclusion. The atmosphere during a saga recitation in a longhouse was almost sacred. The flickering light of the hearth would dance across the rapt faces of the listeners, their breaths held as the skald conjured images of mighty battles, fateful encounters, and journeys to distant realms. The scent of wood smoke and roasting meat would mingle with the imagined tang of sea spray and the metallic scent of battle. Each phrase, each carefully chosen kenning, deepened their understanding of their cosmic place, connected to the gods, bound by fate, yet with the agency to choose honor in the face of destiny. The skald was not just a storyteller, but a spiritual guide, interpreting the divine will and the pathways to glory. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. This cultural practice of storytelling provided a vital complement to the formal aspects of their faith, constantly reinforcing the honor system and the afterlife beliefs. It ensured that the aspirations for Valhalla, Folkvanger, and the avoidance of Helheim remained vivid and relevant in the collective consciousness. The spoken word, powerful and ephemeral, created a living connection to the unseen realms, making the journey of the departed soul a continuous part of their shared narrative. Even as the centuries passed and Christianity began to influence their lands, the core themes of honor, courage, and a glorious end continued to resonate, often reinterpreted but rarely forgotten, thanks to the enduring power of the Skald's song. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. As the moon cast its gentle light over the sleeping longhouses, and the wind carried the faint whispers of ancient tales, the Viking heart found solace and purpose in the knowledge that their deeds, if honorable, would forever be immortalized. Through the echoing halls of memory and the vibrant tapestry of the Skald's song, their destiny was not merely met, but celebrated, ensuring that even after the final breath, their glory, woven by words, would forever guide the understanding of the afterlife. In the sprawling tapestry of Norse cosmology, where the roots of Yggdrasil bound all worlds, every thread of life, every valiant deed, and every inevitable death converged towards a singular, ultimate destiny. This was the grand, inescapable narrative of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, a cosmic cataclysm for which all of existence, from the highest deity to the humblest mortal, was ultimately destined. For the Viking warrior, the understanding of this final, inevitable confrontation lent a profound, ultimate purpose to their lives, their deaths, and their very existence in the afterlife, shaping their understanding of courage, sacrifice, and the boundless pursuit of honor. The concept of Orlog, or fate, was deeply ingrained in the Norse psyche, as explored in Chapter 8. It was the immutable pattern woven by the Norns at the Well of Ur, a destiny that even the gods themselves could not escape. Yet, within this predetermined fate, the warrior held a powerful agency, the choice of how they met their destiny. For those destined to die in battle, the path was clear. To fall bravely, weapon in hand, was not merely a glorious end, but a direct contribution to the cosmic struggle that awaited them. This belief transformed personal combat into a part of a much grander, divine design, imbuing every clash of steel with ultimate significance. Indeed, the very purpose of Valhalla, Odin's magnificent hall, transcended mere eternal feasting and glory. It was a training ground, a vast barracks for the Einherjar, the chosen slain warriors who were gathered there for a singular, ultimate purpose, to fight alongside Odin and the Aesir gods during Ragnarok. Every day, their battles on the plains outside Valhalla, their healing at evening, and their nightly feasting were all rigorous preparations for this final, defining moment. The mead horn never emptied. The boar was eternally replenished, not just for enjoyment, but to maintain the strength and readiness of this divine army. Their afterlife was an active, purposeful waiting, a continuous sharpening of skills, ensuring they would be formidable allies when the doom of the gods arrived. Ragnarok itself was a cosmic ballet of destruction and rebirth, a terrifying yet inevitable climax. It would begin with the Fimbulwinter, a great winter lasting 3 years, bringing famine and conflict among mortals. Then, the sun and moon would be devoured by wolves, the stars would vanish, and the very sky would ignite. Monsters and giants, bound for ages, would break free. Fenrir the wolf, Jormungandr the Midgard serpent, and Loki leading the hosts of Helheim and the giants of Jotunheim. The ancient frost giants would sail in their ship Naglfar, made of the fingernails and toenails of the dead, towards the final battlefield, Vigrid. The sounds of this impending doom would be heralded by the sounding of Heimdallsjölarhorn, a blast that would echo through all 9 worlds, rousing gods and Einherjar alike to their final, desperate stand. In this ultimate confrontation, the Einherjar would march forth from Valhalla's 540 doors, their armor gleaming, their weapons ready, to fight alongside Odin, Thor, Freyr, and the other Aesir gods against the overwhelming forces of chaos. It would be a battle of immense ferocity, resulting in the deaths of many gods, including Odin himself, swallowed by Fenrir, and Thor, succumbing to the venom of the Midgard serpent. This acceptance of divine sacrifice, of even the most powerful gods being fated to fall for the greater cosmic order, underscored the profound stoicism and acceptance of inevitable endings within Norse belief. Their purpose was to face destiny bravely, to fight to the last, even if victory in the mortal sense was not assured. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Yet, Ragnarok was not a tale of ultimate annihilation, but of a cyclical destruction followed by a rebirth. From the ashes of the old world, a new, greener, and more peaceful world would emerge, inhabited by a few surviving gods and a new generation of humanity. Here, the beautiful Hall of Gimel, as seen in Chapter 7, a realm of pure righteousness and joy, was destined to survive, serving as a sanctuary in the rejuvenated cosmos. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. This offered a profound message of enduring hope beyond the cataclysm, a promise of renewal and a cleaner slate for those who lived righteously. The knowing embrace of this ultimate cosmic destiny profoundly shaped the Viking warrior's psyche. It gave their individual lives and battles a grander, more spiritual meaning. To die bravely in battle was not just about personal glory, but about contributing to the ultimate, cosmic war for the fate of the universe. It fostered a pervasive sense of fearlessness, a willingness to face overwhelming odds, knowing that their existence was part of an immense, preordained design. Every swing of the axe, every thrust of the spear, was a step towards their ultimate purpose, a thread woven into the loom of fate, preparing them for the sound of Heimdall's final horn. As the moon cast its long, ethereal shadows across the sleeping lands, and the wind whispered through the branches of Yggdrasil, the Viking warrior rested, perhaps dreaming of the clang of weapons and the shouts of gods. For them, life was a prelude, and the afterlife a purposeful training, all building towards that final, glorious call, ensuring their cosmic purpose was fulfilled in the grand design of destiny. The intricate tapestry of Norse afterlife beliefs, meticulously woven from cosmic structures, divine choices, and the threads of fate, was not merely a solace for the grieving or a distant promise for the valiant. Instead, it permeated the very essence of Viking life, flowing into their veins, quickening their hearts, and, most profoundly, shaping their approach to warfare and the pursuit of glory on the battlefield. For a Viking warrior, the battlefield was not merely a place of conflict and death, but a sacred gateway, a proving ground where courage knew no bounds, and one's actions determined the very path to eternal renown. The promise of Valhalla and Folkvanger, teeming with feasting and eternal glory, as explored in chapters 1 and 2, transformed the terrifying prospect of death into an exhilarating aspiration. Unlike many other cultures where death in battle was mourned as a loss, for the Viking, a glorious demise, weapon in hand, was the ultimate triumph. This profound lack of fear of death, born from a belief in a purposeful and often glorious afterlife, gave Viking warriors a formidable psychological edge over their adversaries. They fought with a ferocity that often bewildered their enemies, charging into the fray with a joyous abandon, knowing that every swing of the axe, every thrust of the spear, was a step towards their eternal destiny alongside the gods. The clang of their shield walls, the rhythmic chant of their war cries, were fueled by this deep, spiritual conviction. This intense belief also found expression in phenomena such as the legendary berserkers. These warriors, said to enter a trance-like fury in battle, fighting without armor and seemingly impervious to pain, embodied the ultimate fusion of martial prowess and spiritual conviction. While historical accounts are often shrouded in myth, the image of a berserker, frothing at the mouth, heedless of wounds, was a terrifying one, undoubtedly stemming from a profound belief in Odin's patronage and the promise of immediate glory in his halls. Their fervor was not mere recklessness, but a deep spiritual commitment, a complete surrender to the will of the gods, knowing that their death, however brutal, would be met with divine favor. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The chilling cry of a berserker, resonating across the battlefield, was the sound of a soul embracing its destiny. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The tactical implications of such a belief system were clear. Stopwatch equals 0. 25s. Viking warfare often employed aggressive, shock tactics designed to overwhelm and break the enemy's resolve. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Their shield walls were not merely defensive formations, but platforms for relentless forward pressure, pushing deep into enemy lines. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The willingness to fight to the last man, even when outnumbered or seemingly defeated, was a testament to their unwavering desire to avoid the dishonor of surrender or a straw death. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Capture held little appeal when the alternative was a glorious end, ensuring a place among the Einherjar, preparing for Ragnarok. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Their ferocity was a strategy in itself, designed to inspire terror and break the morale of foes who clung more tightly to earthly life. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The motivation for their daring overseas expeditions, their renowned rating, was thus multifaceted. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. While the pursuit of wealth, land, and power was undeniable, it was inextricably linked to the quest for honor and glory, proving one's worth to the community and to the gods. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. A successful raid was not just an economic venture, but a demonstration of bravery, cunning, and leadership, contributing to a warrior's renown and solidifying their potential path to an esteemed afterlife. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The longship itself became more than just a vessel. It was a metaphorical vehicle of destiny, carrying warriors towards their fated glory, a direct link between their earthly endeavors and their eternal reward. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The spray of the ocean on their faces, the wind in their sails, were the very breaths of the gods, guiding them towards their ultimate purpose. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The concept of a valuable life for a Viking was intricately tied to a glorious death. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. A long life spent without achievement or honor was seen as less desirable than a short, intense life culminating in a heroic end. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. This belief fostered a culture of daring, of accepting challenges, and of pushing personal limits in pursuit of renown. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. It resonated in their sagas, which often celebrated those who faced death with defiance and a joyous acceptance of their fate, leaving behind a lasting legacy that inspired generations to come. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The battlefield, therefore, was not a place to be feared, but a stage upon which one enacted their destiny, a gateway to immortality. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, crimson shadows across distant battlefields, the Viking warrior rested, perhaps dreaming of the clash of steel and the welcoming shouts of Valhalla. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. His courage knew no bounds, for his actions were not merely for earthly gain, but for an eternal purpose, a divine embrace. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The battlefield was indeed his gateway, transforming mortal breath into an everlasting roar of glory, ensuring his honor would forever echo through the halls of the gods, and in the timeless memory of his people. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. As the great ships of the Viking Age found their quiet rest in the harbors of consolidating kingdoms, and the relentless pursuit of plunder yielded to the steady rhythms of trade and agriculture, a profound, yet often subtle, transformation began to reshape the very spiritual landscape of the North. The ancient pagan faiths, with their vibrant pantheon of gods and intricate afterlives, slowly encountered the persistent, gentle light of Christianity. This was not always a violent clash, but often a quiet blending, a subtle syncretism where old beliefs met new doctrines, and the shores of the soul shifted, creating a rich, layered understanding of the world beyond death. The echoes of Valhalla, though perhaps softened, did not entirely vanish in the presence of the cross. In the early stages of Christianization, Particularly in areas where conversion was gradual, there was often a period of coexistence and subtle merging. A Viking chieftain might wear a cross alongside his Thor's hammer amulet, hedging his bets in a changing world. The concept of a good death, dying bravely with honor, could find common ground with Christian martyrdom or the idea of dying in defense of the faith. The promise of a heavenly feast, of eternal rest in paradise, held a resonance with the pagan warrior's aspiration for Valhalla's mead hall. The vibrant, active nature of the Einherjar, ever preparing for Ragnarok, might be reinterpreted in the context of celestial armies or the eventual triumph of good over evil. This blending was not always explicit, but often occurred in the quiet corners of the mind, where deeply ingrained beliefs sought comfort in new narratives. Even as formal pagan worship waned and Christian churches rose across the landscape, the older beliefs often persisted in the realm of folklore, local legends, and the quiet customs of rural life. The spirits of the land, the protective household deities, and the presence of ancestors in their burial mounds, Chapter 5, continued to hold sway in the collective imagination, subtly influencing daily practices and fears. A farmer might still offer a quiet libation to a local land spirit, even as he attended Sunday Mass. The whisper of a legendary figure's journey to Valhalla might still be recounted around the hearth, not as religious dogma, but as a cherished tale of ancestral glory, shaping the moral compass of the young. Place names like Odin's Mound or Thor's Grove remained on the landscape, silent reminders of a powerful, vibrant past. The eventual writing down of the Eddas and Sagas, Chapter 10, primarily in Iceland by Christian scribes in the centuries following the Viking Age, played a crucial role in preserving these older beliefs for posterity. These written works, while sometimes subtly influenced by Christian perspectives, captured the rich tapestry of Norse mythology, the detailed descriptions of their gods, and the intricate cosmology of Yggdrasil and the Nine Worlds, Chapter 8. Without these diligent efforts, much of our understanding of Valhalla, Helheim, and the complex afterlife beliefs of the Viking warrior might have been lost to the winds of time. They are a profound testament to the enduring power of narrative to bridge worlds, preserving the echoes of old faiths even as new light dawned. The Viking spirit, a cultural concept deeply rooted in these ancient beliefs, continued to resonate long after the last raiding longship returned to harbor. The image of the fearless, honor-bound warrior, driven by a profound understanding of fate and an aspiration for glorious immortality, became a foundational part of Scandinavian identity. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. It manifested in later medieval knighthood, in seafaring traditions, and in a unique blend of stoicism and daring that shaped their national characters. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The pursuit of renown, though no longer expressed through brutal plunder, found new avenues in scholarly achievement, economic enterprise, and the building of stable, prosperous kingdoms. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The acceptance of fate, the courage in the face of adversity, and the profound value placed on honor continued to be cherished virtues, albeit recontextualized within a Christian framework. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Even in modern times, the resonance of Valhalla and the Viking afterlife continues to capture the imagination. From literature to popular culture, the imagery of Odin's Hall, the Valkyries, and the brave Einherjar persists, often romanticized, but always a powerful evocation of a formidable past. This enduring fascination underscores the profound impact these beliefs had on the Viking warrior's soul, shaping not only their actions in life, but also their lasting legacy in the collective memory of humanity. The journey of the soul, from the battlefield to the halls of eternity, remains a compelling narrative, transcending the centuries. As the sun cast its final, gentle light over ancient burial mounds and the spires of medieval churches, a profound sense of continuity settled over the northern lands. The soul's shifting shores had indeed met new light, but the currents of old faiths, woven with honor, courage, and a deep understanding of destiny, continued to flow. The Viking warrior's journey to the afterlife, in all its complex beauty, lived on, a timeless echo in the heart of their heritage, forever reminding us that beliefs, once deeply held, do not simply vanish, but transmute, becoming an everlasting part of the world's rich spiritual tapestry. The intricate tapestry of Viking afterlife beliefs, with its vibrant halls and shadowy realms, its divine choosers and weaving norns, offered far more than mere destinations for the departed soul. It provided a profound, comprehensive framework that imbued every aspect of life and death with meaning and purpose, serving as unseen pillars that sustained a fierce and resilient people in a harsh, unpredictable world. Understanding why these beliefs were so potent is to truly grasp the inner strength that propelled Viking warriors, offering them comfort, motivation, and an enduring sense of cosmic order amidst chaos. At its core, the faith in a purposeful afterlife, particularly the glorious destinies of Valhalla and Folkvanger, provided immense psychological strength. For a people constantly facing the dangers of battle, the perils of the sea, and the harsh realities of their northern climate, the concept of a glorious continuation transformed the terrifying prospect of death into a gateway to ultimate renown. Fear, a natural human emotion, was not eliminated, but transmuted into a fierce resolve, a burning desire to meet one's fate with such unwavering courage that it would be deemed worthy of divine selection. The anticipation of feasting with Odin, or resting in Freya's verdant fields, stripped death of its terror and imbued it with heroic significance, fostering a unique blend of stoicism and daring that astonished their foes. These beliefs also offered a comprehensive explanation for life's inherent suffering and uncertainty. In a world ruled by powerful, often capricious gods and the inescapable threads of orlog, fate, the Norse cosmology provided a sense of order. Battles, famines, and sudden deaths were not random acts, but part of a grand, cosmic design, leading ultimately to Ragnarok and the eventual rebirth of the world. Knowing that one's personal saga was woven into this larger cosmic narrative, that one's actions, particularly in death, held significance for the ultimate destiny of the gods themselves, offered a profound sense of purpose. It allowed them to accept adversity with a grim resolve, finding meaning even in the most challenging of circumstances. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. Even the starker realms, like Helheim, offered a unique form of comfort through certainty. While it lacked glory, knowing one's destination after a non-heroic death, having a place of quiet repose, prevented the existential dread of oblivion or unknown nothingness. For those who accepted their ordinary fate, it provided a quiet dignity and rest, a predictable culmination to a life lived. This clarity, this structured understanding of what awaited them, allowed them to live fully in the present, focusing on deeds of honor and reputation, rather than being paralyzed by the mysteries of the beyond. The unifying power of a shared belief system fostered strong communal bonds. Warriors fought not just for themselves, but for their kin, their chieftain, and their community, knowing that their collective honor and shared destiny were intertwined. The communal feasts, the solemn funeral rituals, and the recounting of sagas all reinforced these shared convictions, strengthening the fabric of society. It created a sense of belonging, a profound understanding that their individual lives, however fleeting, contributed to an enduring cultural and spiritual lineage that stretched back to their ancestors, Chapter 7, and forward to the very gods themselves. Moreover, the concepts of honor, dyr/half, and shame, ni, explicitly linked to afterlife destinies, served as a powerful moral compass. They encouraged virtues like courage, loyalty, generosity, and hospitality, while condemning vices like oath-breaking, cowardice, and treachery. This spiritual accountability shaped societal norms, reinforcing a code of conduct that went beyond mere earthly law, guided by the very expectations of the gods. The pursuit of renown, driven by the desire for a glorious afterlife, was thus a powerful force for social cohesion and ethical behavior within the confines of their worldview. The power of narrative, through skaldic poetry and sagas, made these complex cosmological ideas accessible and emotionally resonant for every member of society, from the youngest child to the oldest elder. These stories transformed abstract beliefs into vivid mental landscapes, allowing individuals to mentally prepare for their own inevitable journey. The sounds of the skald's voice, weaving tales of heroes ascending to Valhalla or the bleak fate of the dishonored, served as a constant reminder of the purpose woven by faith, connecting the individual's life to the grand, eternal narrative of the cosmos. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, ethereal shadows across the northern lands, the Viking people found solace and strength in the whispers from the cosmos. Their faith provided not just answers to the mysteries of death, but a profound purpose for life, a guiding light that illuminated their path through a challenging world. Stopwatch equals 0.25s. The unseen pillars of belief sustained their courage, shaped their virtues, and ensured that the honor of the Viking warrior, a flame carefully tended in life, would burn brightly in the everlasting halls of memory and eternity. Chapter 15: The Echoes of Ragnarok, a legacy forged in faith. The whispers from the cosmos, carried on the northern winds, shaped the Viking world in profound ways, creating a society intrinsically linked to its spiritual framework. While the preceding chapters have delved into the vibrant tapestry of Viking afterlife beliefs, their purpose, and their impact on daily life, it's crucial to acknowledge the ultimate culmination of this cosmic drama, Ragnarok. This prophesied end of the world, far from being a tale of despair, was the ultimate test of their faith and a profound shaper of their legacy. Ragnarok, the doom of the gods, was not merely an ending but a cyclical cleansing, a fiery crucible from which a new world would emerge. It was a narrative that imbued every act of courage, every honorable death, with a cosmic significance. Warriors marching to their glorious end in battle were not just dying. They were contributing their strength, their spirit, and their very essence to the final stand alongside Odin and the Aesir. This belief transcended individual glory, transforming it into a collective, divine responsibility. The prospect of fighting alongside their gods, even in a losing battle, was the ultimate expression of purpose and an unparalleled source of motivation. It meant that their lives, and especially their deaths, held a weight that resonated through the very fabric of existence. This eschatological understanding also fostered a unique form of stoicism. Knowing that the world itself was destined for a glorious, fiery end, Vikings approached challenges with a grim resolve, finding meaning not in avoiding fate, but in meeting it with unwavering honor. They understood that their actions in this life, particularly their adherence to virtues like courage, loyalty, and generosity, were not just for earthly renown, but for their place in the grand cosmic narrative. The pursuit of fame, log, and glory, dr, deeply intertwined with the afterlife, became a moral imperative, shaping their interactions, their laws, and their societal structure. Even as the Christian faith began to slowly seep into the Norse lands, the echoes of Ragnarok continued to influence their worldview, creating a syncretic blend where old and new beliefs intertwined. The legacy of the Viking afterlife beliefs extends far beyond the age of sagas and longships. These stories, these convictions, were passed down through generations, enshrined in Eddic poetry and skaldic verse, ensuring their survival even as the old gods faded into myth. They instilled in the Norse people a profound respect for courage in the face of adversity, a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of life and death, and an enduring appreciation for the power of narrative. The very concept of Valhalla and the Valkyries has permeated popular culture, a testament to the enduring power and appeal of these ancient beliefs. Ultimately, the intricate framework of Viking afterlife beliefs served as the unseen pillars upon which a fierce and resilient people built their world. It was a faith that transcended mere spiritual solace, providing a comprehensive worldview that gave meaning to suffering, purpose to life, and glory to death. As the modern world looks back on the Viking Age, we find not just a people of conquest and exploration, but a people profoundly shaped by their spiritual convictions, a people whose whispers from the cosmos continue to echo through time, reminding us of the enduring human quest for meaning and the power of faith to forge an unbreakable spirit. And so, our long and winding journey through the intricate realms of the Viking afterlife gently comes to its quiet end. We have drifted through the golden halls of Valhalla, witnessed the verdant fields of Folkvanger, and contemplated the shadowy stillness of Helheim. We have explored how the profound concepts of honor, fate, and cosmic purpose shaped every breath, every battle, and every final farewell of the Viking warrior, transforming death not into an ending, but into a glorious continuation. This exploration whispers a timeless truth that across all ages and cultures, humanity seeks meaning in the face of mortality. The Norse beliefs, so vivid and compelling, offered a powerful answer, guiding their lives with a fierce courage and an unwavering commitment to renown. May the echoes of their sagas, the image of their brave hearts embracing destiny, and the enduring power of their myths continue to resonate like a distant horn call over the ancient lands. And may the quiet contemplation of their honor, forged in life and carried into eternity, bring a lasting sense of peace, reminding us that courage and purpose are indeed timeless treasures.